The hypocrisy of hate. They claim unity. They preach superiority. They present themselves as the ultimate guardians of a pure and untainted society. Their voices are loud, their messages clear, and their followers many. They march through the streets, their banners held high, their chants echoing through the air. To the untrained eye, they appear as a monolithic force, united in purpose and vision, but this is merely a facade, a carefully constructed image designed to mask the underlying fractures and contradictions that threaten to tear them apart from within. But behind closed doors, the cracks in their facade tell a different story. The unity they boast of is a fragile illusion, easily shattered by the weight of their own contradictions and lies. In the privacy of their homes, the very ideologies that bind them together also drive them apart. Courtroom battles reveal the legal struggles and betrayals that plague their ranks. Arguments erupt not just with outsiders but within their own circles, as the pressure of maintaining a perfect image becomes too much to bear. Welcome to the world of hypocrisy, betrayal, and self-destruction. A world where hate doesn't just harm its targets, it devours its own believers. In this world, the seeds of discord are sown deep within, and the harvest is always bitter. The leaders who once stood as paragons of their twisted virtues find themselves ensnared in the very traps they set for others. Their meetings, once filled with fervor and unity, now descend into chaos and infighting. The promises of a utopian society crumble under the weight of their own deceit, leaving nothing but a trail of broken dreams and shattered lives. Let's start with relationships. Relationships are often seen as the cornerstone of human connection, providing emotional support and companionship. However, they can also be fraught with challenges and conflicts that test the strength of the bond. The idea of unity in relationships is often romanticized, but the reality is far more complex. Couples may face numerous obstacles such as financial stress, differing values, and communication issues which constrain even the strongest of bonds. Despite the ideal of happily ever after, many relationships end in separation or divorce, revealing the fragile nature of human connections. Racist ideologies promise loyalty and strength within their accepted group. They create an illusion of unity by fostering a sense of belonging and shared purpose among their members. This sense of unity is often built on a foundation of shared hatred and exclusion of others. Members are led to believe that their group is a sanctuary of solidarity, where they can find unwavering support and camaraderie. However, this perceived unity is superficial and fragile, as it is based on negative emotions and divisive beliefs. But in reality, divorce rates among white supremacists, racist white Hispanics, and KKK members are as high, if not higher, than the general population. This contradiction reveals the underlying instability within these groups. The very ideologies that claim to offer unity and strength are, in fact, sources of conflict and division. The internal strife within these groups often mirrors the external hatred they project, leading to fractured relationships and high rates of separation. Why? Because hate doesn't build bonds, it breaks them. The very foundation of these relationships is built on exclusion and animosity, which inevitably leads to division and discord. True unity and strength in relationships come from mutual respect, understanding, and love. When relationships are built on negative emotions and divisive ideologies, they are doomed to fail. The illusion of unity in such groups is just that, an illusion. It cannot withstand the pressures of real-life challenges and the inherent need for genuine human connection. Infidelity, domestic violence, ideological clashes, these are the hallmarks of relationships built on hate. When your worldview is rooted in fear and control, it's only a matter of time before those same toxins seep into your personal life. Now let's talk about crime. Racist groups love to point fingers at outsiders, but statistics and history show that most crimes are committed against those closest to us. And extremist groups? They're no exception. From domestic abuse to financial fraud, the dark underbelly of hate groups reveals itself in many forms. These groups, often built on a foundation of hatred and exclusion, are not immune to the very betrayals they propagate. The irony is palpable. Organizations that thrive on division and animosity inevitably turn those same destructive forces inward. Members who once stood united in their shared disdain for others find themselves at odds, embroiled in conflicts that mirror the very chaos they seek to inflict on society. Hate groups are rife with internal betrayal where members turn against each other, driven by greed, power struggles, and ideological differences. These betrayals often lead to legal battles as former allies become bitter adversaries. Courtrooms become the stage for these dramatic fallouts where the dirty laundry of these groups is aired for all to see. The very fabric of these organizations begins to unravel, exposing the fragility of their alliances. Take the Proud Boys, for example, a group that claims to be unified by Western chauvinism. Despite their outward show of solidarity, internal conflicts are rampant. The group's public image of strength and unity is a facade, hiding a reality of constant infighting and power struggles. Members often clash over leadership roles, the direction of the group, and even the interpretation of their core beliefs. These internal disputes weaken the group, making it vulnerable to external pressures and legal challenges. Yet they've fractured into squabbling factions, each vying for dominance and control, unable to maintain the unity they so loudly proclaim. The infighting is not just about power, it's about the very identity of the group. Different factions believe they represent the true vision of the organization, leading to bitter disputes and even physical altercations. This fragmentation is a testament to the inherent instability of hate-based ideologies. Over issues like racism, anti-Semitism, and money disputes, these groups tear themselves apart from the inside, proving that their foundation is as unstable as their ideologies. Financial mismanagement and accusations of embezzlement further erode trust among members. Racism and anti-Semitism, which are often the cornerstones of these groups, become points of contention as different members interpret these hateful ideologies in conflicting ways. The result is a toxic environment where betrayal is not just a possibility, but an inevitability. In the end, these groups are undone by the very hatred they espouse, leaving a trail of broken alliances and shattered lives. A satirical animation. A cartoon depicting hate group members fighting over who gets to lead their next protest against multiculturalism. What about racist white Hispanics? Do they commit more crimes against each other in their home countries than in America? The answer lies in social conditions. In Latin America, higher crime rates driven by economic instability mean more intra-group offenses. In the United States, stronger law enforcement may deter some crimes, but not enough to stop internal betrayals within racist communities. A satirical animation. A cartoon showing a racist white Hispanic running from police after stealing from his own cousin. Here's the kicker. If racists constantly harm those they claim to protect, what's the point of their ideology? Hate doesn't create unity, it creates chaos. Extremist groups often implode due to power struggles and personal conflicts. History is littered with examples, from neo-Nazi factions splitting into rival gangs to Proud Boys chapters disavowing each other over ideological differences. Welcome back to On tonight's episode. Billy accuses Johnny of stealing his hood while Karen files for divorce after discovering her husband secretly listens to rap music. Exaggerated reenactments showing absurd arguments among hate group members. Racism isn't just morally bankrupt, it's psychologically destructive. Hate often stems from fear and insecurity, creating a mindset that dehumanizes everyone, including oneself. Reenactment, a racist individual yelling at a mirror while blaming outsiders for his personal failures. Racism is more than an ideology, it's a sickness that poisons everything it touches. It destroys relationships, communities, and even its own believers. Satirical animation, a cartoon depicting hate group members sinking in quicksand labeled Hypocrisy. It's time to expose the reality behind these ideologies, not just for their victims but for their perpetrators as well, because when hate destroys its own believers, it proves one undeniable truth: unity cannot be built on fear. End screen shows links for educational resources and support organizations combating hate groups.